I'm Liz High, Head of Professional Services at SDL Social Intelligence. We're going to talk today about the importance of data-driven strategies in future business solutions. We're going to start by addressing three basic questions. Why should you think about data-driven strategies in business today? What are the key data sources that you should listen to, and what questions do they answer? And finally, how to effectively integrate data strategies into your business decision making today. At the end of 2012, IDC conducted a study called the Digital Universe, and they estimated that today there were 2.8 zettabytes, or something equivalent to 2.8 trillion gigabytes of data about customers out there in the world today. They went on to estimate that by 2020, this would rise to 40 zettabytes. And if you think about that, that equates to well over 5,000 gigabytes of data about every single person in the world at any given time. So if you think about the challenges that businesses are going to face in the future, the successful ones will be those that work out how to interrogate that data, how to integrate it into the decisions that they make as businesses. And really the critical thing will be understanding how to take all this richness of customer understanding and use it effectively for innovation, to think about how you can compete more effectively, to really drive cultural change within your businesses internally, to think about cutting-edge customer experience design. And really the most important thing is that many people have predicted that the future businesses, those that become the super brands, will be those who understand how to use this data in real time to deliver personalized, superior, and profitable customer experiences to every single person that touches any channel of their brand. So let's talk a little bit about the what. With so much data in the world, one of the key issues that businesses might have is working out which pieces of data to use to answer which questions. But really the process of the data strategy starts earlier than that. There are two fundamental things to think about. The first thing is to ask yourself a question. What are the behaviors that I need from my customers to be successful as a business? And then the second question is then to say, now I understand those behaviors, what do I as a business need to do to deliver those in return? And really that's the principle of the fair exchange. And really data should always be facilitating understanding of that. You should be measuring behaviors, you should be identifying data which reflects those, and then you should be working out what areas of your business strategy you need to change to really address what will be fair to you and fair to the customers. So what are the core questions that any successful business needs to answer? There are really four broad areas. So first of all, and perhaps the most commonly understood in businesses today, is what do our customers think about us? So typically this is where you'll find customer experience data, customer satisfaction data, complaints analysis, and increasingly social data as well. The second question is, what do we excel at? It's really important for businesses to know where their strengths are, and indeed the opposite side, to understand their weaknesses too. The third part of effective data strategy is understanding how you can improve and innovate. It's really important that when you think about measurement, that you don't just think about today, but you think about what you need to do to move forward, and you think about potential leading indicators that will help you to do that. And the fourth thing is, when you think about the idea of the fair exchange, customer experience is not all about the customer. It's about an equal exchange between you and the customer. So it's equally important that you understand how your financial metrics are moving, how your stakeholder value is growing. So we're going to talk a little bit now about a range of possible measures that you can use in a business. So now we're going to focus on all of the different types of data that you could think about using. Now, as this table shows, the type of data and the type of questions that you will be asking as a business will depend on where you are in your customer lifecycle or perhaps your product development lifecycle. I'm going to focus just on two areas to give an example today. So let's think about businesses that are in an innovation cycle. So if you think about the kinds of questions that you're asking yourself, it's, what's the white space that's out there? What are the key trends that are emerging that I should be part of? And when you're thinking about the right data to listen to at that point, this is where contextual understanding is really important. So often it's softer data sources that are valuable. So some companies will look at conducting ethnographies, where they'll actually go and spend time watching their customers live their lives, not just interacting with their products and services. This is also where social data is particularly valuable. If you think about it as a huge global resource, which tells you what's really important to customers right there in their context, in their living rooms, while they're out shopping, doing whatever they want to do. Within the innovation cycle, those are the data sources that provide rich ideas. At the same time, it's also important that you're contextualizing that with harder data sources. So if you're thinking where you may have a great piece of white space in a market, you need to add understanding about the economics of that market, changing trends in the demographics, and really begin to embed your innovation ideas not only in great thinking, but also in substantial economic data. Now, if we think about someone who's at the other end of that scale, so say someone who's in a mature phase of their business, you have a very well-established customer base, you have a very well-established set of products, and really your focus is going to be about how to keep those customers, how to build their value. And this is the point where a rich data set is particularly important. You're looking at your internal data. This is when you're building churn models. This is when you're understanding, based on your historical customer data, what it is that's going to make people stay, what's going to make them make the next purchase. And at the same time, this is where it's critically important that you understand the quality of customer experiences that you're delivering, and you're really focusing on how to drive improvement where you need to. So really, if you think about the diversity of data that organizations need to listen to, it illustrates the importance of thinking strategically about how to pull information into your business and to start to using it effectively to make better decisions. So let's look at the final question that we raised. We've talked about how much data that we have in the world. We've talked about the different types of data that can use. Now let's think about effective ways to actually integrate that into business decision making. So the first thing that I would say is that because there's so much data, the secret is truly understanding what's going to help you to make better decisions. And there's one framework that I like to think about when you're looking at how to turn lots of data into good insight and to good measures. And it's called the SMART framework. So it starts off with the fact that when you're looking at evaluating data to bring it into decision making, is this piece of data specific? i.e., does it specifically address something that's important to my business, a behavior that I want to drive or an outcome that I want to achieve? Secondly, is it measurable? If you think about all the data that's out there, something that will be useful and an ongoing value to the business has to be something which is ultimately measurable. Something you know will change, something you know will move, and that you can look at on a consistent basis. The third part is to be achievable. Now, when it comes to thinking about data being used effectively, people need to have goals around it. Perhaps the biggest and most common phrase that you'll hear in measurement discussions is, you get the behavior that you measure. So setting goals around improvement will be critical. So make sure that the data sources you're choosing will allow you to set objectives and make those achievable, because that will what will inspire your organization to behave and do things differently. They need to be relevant. If you think about the 5,000 gigabytes of data, how much of that is truly relevant to the way that you need to run your business? When you're looking at data sources, it's utterly critical that you think very closely about, do I need to measure 10 things, or do I need to really measure the one thing that talks absolutely to what we're about as a business? And effective measures will be the ones that are absolutely relevant to what you're trying to achieve. And then the final part is the idea of being time specific. It's also critical when you're thinking about setting goals, not just that they can be achievable, but they can be monitored over time. Successful data sources will be those that you know you can collect and access and use on an ongoing basis. In fact, it's predicted that the most successful businesses in the future will be those who know how to do all of this in real time. So by looking at how metrics are moving in an increasingly granular way will be the secret to this effective, personalized, and truly relevant customer experiences. So really, to sum up what we've been talking about today, the successful businesses of the future will be those who can cut through the noise of those 40 zettabytes of data. They'll be the ones who can begin to create structure and meaning around it, and they will be the ones who understand what they need to do to drive customer behavior. The whole principle of the fair exchange will be the secret to navigating through the world of data that we're all creating. So really, to sum it up, the successful businesses of the future who are delivering engaging, enigmatic, and profitable experiences will be those that are using this data source to make decisions. So thank you for listening. We will be doing a series of these, looking at other key business questions and looking at how insight and data can impact on customer experiences. And I look forward to talking to you again.